Sonic Carp and welcome to another episode for the MMA Monday. It's Monday, it's MMA time, and again, a lot has happened over the past week. Well, a lot, not necessarily inside the octagon, but in lead up to what's going to happen next weekend. However, some fights took place and we're also obviously going to look at them. So this past weekend, we just saw UFC Vegas 28. We saw Jairzinho Jairzinho, big boy, facing off with Augusto Sakai. And yes, that was very interesting. Why was it interesting? Well, Augusto Sakai looked not very well in shape. I think he looked a bit more chubby than usual, didn't he? He also didn't execute his game plan as he usually does. And he was on a, I believe, 4-fight winning streak, not sure. Rosenstruik had to bounce back from his latest outings, and he did. And he landed he does what Rosenstruik does, right? He landed a fury of combos to end the round. Like I think at 4 seconds or so he hit him, then he went down and there's 1 second to go, and Herb Dean waved it off with 1 second to go in the first round. Crazy, clear knockdown, but with 1 second, could you have let him have the bell? But then again, safety first and so on. Until then, it was not a great fight. I didn't enjoy it. There was two big guys. Rosenstruik threw a bit more, but it was not Ngannou-Lewis bad, but it was just not entertaining, if you know what I mean. I was not very much entertaining, but I'm also not the biggest fan of big heavyweights that aren't necessarily in the best shape. That's no body shaming, that's just facts. I'm sorry. All right. Speaking of heavyweights that aren't in great shape, that's a bad transition because they can all kick my ass. We had Marcin Tybura versus Walt Harris, and Walt Harris didn't look great again. He said he had the best camp of his life. They always say that because I think he just changed camps. He's now at Extreme Couture in Las Vegas, I believe, which is probably good for him to change things up. But this was not his fight. He knocked Tybura, or he hurt Tybura in the beginning. That was actually pretty cool. He moved in, clipped him, threw a jumping knee and so on. But then he always gets too overexcited. Like he needs some style bender calmness. It's like, okay, you hurt him, and now just keep hurting him. Don't try to always go for the hardcore finish there, because once again, that was kind of his undoing, because Tybura was able to grab a hold of him, hold him down, push him down later on and take him down again, and then just outstruck him on the ground, like his back, ended up on his back, flattened out Walt Harris, and then just pounded away, and that was it at 4 minutes or so in the first round. Just like actually Bisping predicted it once Tybura had the leg of Walt Harris. Bisping also predicted 26 seconds before Rosenstruik hit Sakai with the overhand right that this is going to happen against the fence. So well done to the count. Fight of the night went, fight of the month, maybe fight of the year. That's what people say out there, the kids in the underground. I'm not sold on it, but it was a nice fight. Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Miguel Baeza. That was a fun fight. That was really nice. Lots of entertainment, enjoyment, especially the last round. They went all out bananas, like throwing everything they had at each other. Fantastic. They left everything in the octagon. That's what you want to hear. And it was UD for Santiago Ponzinibbio, who just showed more in the last round. The first round was clearly for Baeza, like leg kicks and so on. Second round, Ponzinibbio came back, and in the third round, they just put it all out there. But Ponzinibbio edged that out, especially at the end of the round when Baeza seemed to be just really tired, understandably. But then Santiago Ponzinibbio just was able to dig a little bit deeper and just to throw a few more towards Baeza. So that was a great fight. Both received $50K bonus afterwards. So congratulations. We also saw Montana De La Rosa defeating Ariane Lipski versus second round TKO. And I picked Ariane Lipski before, and I'm not quite sure why. I mean, know why, but that was not a great performance. Ariane, what did you do? What happened? What are you doing at AKA there? She said AKA, right? I think. AK or ATT, some of the American teams. That was not great. That was like she was just letting De La Rosa do what she wants to do, basically take her down and then just hurt her. It was not good. It was a bit lackluster, to be quite honest. The one prelim fight that I predicted prior to the show, prior to the event last week, was Latifi versus Tanner Boser, and Ilia Latifi got it done. Yes, split decision, so not that exciting or not that convincing, but he got it done. 29-28 twice, and one time 27-29. So lucky Ilia Latifi, but congratulations to the veteran getting it done one more time. All right, that was UFC 28, Vegas 28. Before we look ahead at what's going to happen, we have to address that this one thing happened, which was one thing that's going to happen. Tyron Woodley versus Logan Paul is confirmed. Yay! Now you see it's definitely a wrestling show, because there's no way in hell that Logan Paul would beat Tyron Woodley in a fight. So once Tyron Woodley goes down, you know it's wrestling. It's exactly that's what it is. And Tyron Woodley said he's going to train with Floyd Mayweather. Why would not train with the greatest boxer of all time? Nice, so that you can do the same thing that Floyd Mayweather did with Jake Paul. No, the other way around, with Logan Paul. So Woodley versus Jake Paul. Who knows who those Paul brothers are? And Logan Paul just fought Floyd Mayweather and survived 8 rounds, which again shows you it's all a work. I mean, he was swinging so wildly, and I watched like just a few don't even want to say highlights. It was just like swinging in the first 2 rounds like this, and it was just all hacking, I think. It's ridiculous. So that's the only time I mention it here. It's ridiculous. It's stupid, and F them. And the only good thing that happened was that Showtime app crashed, which means lots of refunds for people who try to buy it, which means less money for those 2 expletive people who were just ruining combat sports. All right, but now let's look ahead at some real combat sports. UFC 263 happening next weekend, and it's going to be freaking awesome, because all the fights are great. I'm just going to pick my 4 favorites here, but I mean, they're all going to be dope, of course. I can't wait. So the main event, obviously, Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori. Question here is, can Izzy go back to where he's been before the Blachowicz fight? Can he motivate himself one more time to fight someone that he already beat? Because it's always difficult, of course. And how good is Marvin Vettori really? Yeah, I stole it from Chael Sonnen. The virtual face-off that they had during UFC Vegas 28 was a bit weird, but I mean, these days Adesanya always is severe in those face-off situations, I believe. And it's always like, oh, is he faced by it? I don't know, maybe he's like emotionally unstable, and then he goes out and has an awesome performance. So I don't know how much attention you should pay to this. Marvin Vettori seemed a bit more getting the better of Adesanya in this verbal battle, but I mean, yeah, that doesn't say much. Vettori gotten a lot better, of course, ever since he lost to Adesanya in the split decision, and it was a clear Adesanya victory. So it was definitely 2-1, maybe even 3-0, because I mean, the ground game of Vettori, yes, but you're not scoring if you're only on the ground, right? So I mean, the last round could have been like a tie. Give it to Vettori, then it's still 2-1 Adesanya. So whatever. But since then, Vettori has looked really good, so I expect this to be a close fight. And again, I don't know how motivated Adesanya, just like motivated McGregor, right? How motivated Adesanya comes out there, or does he think, I got this in the bag, and then maybe he has the Kevin Lee awakening? Who knows? If they are both performing at their best, I would, of course, still say Adesanya got it. But as with every Adesanya fight, I'm just not sure. And then he goes out and destroys them. But again, I'm just not sure. Maybe the grappling of Vettori, maybe he's just that good, and maybe he can negate the offense of Adesanya. Maybe Adesanya learned from the Blachowicz fight, worked on his takedown defense, and maybe he stops Vettori. It should be exciting. If I would have to bet, I would pick Adesanya, but I'm always nervous at his fights, so let's just see. Co-main event, Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno, rematch from December 2020, which ended in a majority draw. due to Figueiredo getting like a point deducted because of a groin strike or something, I believe. I'm not sure what it was. I think so. Otherwise, or some illegal strike, then I forgot what it was. But otherwise, he would have won. Yeah, I'm going with Figueiredo. I mean, I love Brendan Moreno, love the tenacity and everything, but Figueiredo looked so good in all of his fights so far. I don't see how this could be any different. I assume it's going to be a slugfest, but I think Figueiredo puts him away in this case. I think he wants to make a statement here. Then the Coco main event, because every time Nate Diaz fights, it's a main event. The Coco main event. Leon Rocky Edwards finally, again, hopefully in an actual fight without eye pokes or anything, versus Nate Diaz. And this should be heaps of fun again because Nate Diaz and Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards, I think probably the best all-around fight in that division. He's just that good. And I steal all those catchphrases. And just it doesn't get a recognition. I think he's the strongest contender for Marty Usman. So yeah, he always looked near perfect in his outings. So even when the start against Belal Muhammad, he looked amazing. It was just one round, but he looked awesome. So Nate Diaz, super long layoff, but it's Nate Diaz. So you know he's not going to give up or anything. So he's going to slug it out until the end. If it's going to be a striking competition, it's going to go 5 rounds. 5-round event, by the way. I think that's probably what Nate Diaz wanted. If it's going to be a striking battle, they're going to slug it out until the 5th round because Nate Diaz is not going anywhere. Only chance for Leon Edwards to end it early, I think, is doctor stoppage if Diaz bleeds too much again, or via submission. And Nate Diaz also always able to pull out a submission out of anywhere. So this, I expect to be. So in theory, it should be like a clear one-sided victory for Leon Edwards. I would assume an ass beating for 5 rounds, kind of like a Masvidal thing, what Masvidal did to Diaz. But since Diaz is Nate Diaz and he can always like pull out a submission out of his bag, it can still be exciting, right? So I think Edwards takes this and then moves on into the title contention. But if Diaz pulls it off, you can't be surprised. The last fight that I'm going to just talk about now, we could talk about the whole card, but I mean, we can just focus on so many. Last fight is that I'm going to focus on right now. Damian Maia, the OG submission specialist, versus Belal Muhammad. There he goes. There he is, Belal Muhammad. Yeah. I mean, it's Damian Maia, who is like 240 years old. It's Belal Muhammad, who's up and coming. So it should be a thing for Muhammad. But again, if it ends up on the ground with Damian Maia, you're always in trouble. Just ask Ben Askren. Wrestling genius gets submitted by Damian Maia. So should be a clear thing for Belal. Remember the name. Can't be surprised though if Damian Maia, again, like Diaz, pulls out a submission. I would assume Belal's got that. He goes out, like tries to push, and this should be enough to get Damian Maia into deep waters, into trouble, and then maybe stop him early on, I think. Let me know what you think. All right, we don't only have a UFC though, we also have Bellator coming. Bellator 260 with the main event of Douglas Lima, the champ, versus Yaroslav Amosov. And I don't know much about Yaroslav Amosov, to be honest. But if Bellator taught us one thing, it's don't ignore the Russians that you don't know in Bellator, because they just come in and then become champions. So I don't follow Bellator apparently enough. I would assume it because it's Douglas Lima, so Douglas Lima. But you never know, right? I'm just looking at the stats here. So if you watch the video, sorry for looking, if I'm not looking at you right now. Record of Amosov is 25-0. That's like Khabib territory here. I mean, it's Bellator, but still. So she's apparently very good. So let's see. This should be then, I guess, a fun fight. Lima fights are always good fights. So I would, again, go with Lima, of course, pick Lima. But maybe he's a bit complacent by now. And maybe Amosov is just, one more time, that good. Co-main, Paul Daly versus Jason Jackson. I'm also looking at the record of Paul Daly. Paul Daly's record, 43-17-2. This is 50. This is 62 fights. MMA. How old is Paul Daly? Jason Jackson 14-4. Height advantage for Jason Jackson. Both have a country deficiency, England or USA. I'm kidding. Yeah, Paul Daly also like Semtex, right? I mean, he always can finish. He just looked good in his last outing. So I would, cause I'm old school, go Paul Daly. But I mean, record of Jason Jackson looks quite good. So height advantage, probably and also reach advantage. And he looks very dangerous on his picture on the Bellator website. That's what I'm looking at right now. I don't know. Yeah, Paul Daly. I'm OG. Paul Daly all the way. And then the third fight I'm interested in seeing at the Bellator event is Aaron Pico versus Aiden Lee. Aaron Pico, the prodigy, the one that you thought they're going to shoot to the moon, just like Dogecoin, and then struggle, just like Dogecoin. He's back. He's facing Aiden Lee. Aaron Pico has a record of 7-3-0, and we all know Aaron Pico. Aiden Lee, I'm not that famous, I think, but he has a record of 9-4, so similar records. Slight height advantage for Aiden Lee. They're at 145 pounds. That's very light, actually. I don't know. They always say after Aaron Pico fights, okay, but now he's learned and now he's improved and now he's getting better because he's getting a bit older. And like they always say that, and then it's not true. But I would assume that he had enough time now. He's grown older, hopefully got more experience, trained more. So I would assume Aaron Pico is taking this one. Let's not forget that One Championship also has an event on June 11th called Full Blast, and the card. It's getting a bit tough. One Championship. I mean, events basically every week, which is nice, and it's nice to give local talent a chance. And they're going to Germany, by the way. One Championship is going to Europe, and they will also have an event in Germany, I believe. So yeah, that's cool. But right now, I just don't, and I live here, and I just don't know many of those fighters. I'm sorry. I do know the main event. The main event is going to be catchweight Muay Thai event between Mongol Petchyindee Academy. Petchyindee Academy is a very famous gym with lots of fighters in One Championship versus Elias Mahmoudi, who is based here from Algeria, but based in Thailand as well. So he trains in a Thai gym here as well. I forgot which one, but he's very famous here in Thailand. Lots of fights here in Thailand. Yeah, so this should be a fun fight. Elias Mahmoudi fights very Thai style-like because he's been here forever, I believe. I'm sure they also faced off before. Or again, Mongol Pet is typical Petchyindee fighter, I would say. So. Yeah, they all can take a lot of punishment, but always going forward. Mahmoud is like very, very elusive, usually like fast movements and so on. I would assume I live in Thailand, so I would always go for the Thai fighter. If I'm trying, I'm like, yeah, the Thai fighter takes it. But Mahmoud is really, really smooth. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mahmoud takes it, but I'm picking a Mongol Pet here. All right, that's it already for this week, because not much to review, lots of previews and picks. Let me know your picks. Let me know what you think about UFC, Stylebender, Vettori, and so on. Shout out via comments, social media, or email, funkitpod@gmail.com. And then next Monday, we will unpack everything, discuss everything that happened. There should be lots of stuff happening. Hopefully no one pulls out. And yeah, well, we do all those things in a week from now. So until then, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Sawadee krap.